Let's dive into the Bermuda Triangle. You know, that infamous patch of ocean where ships and planes vanish without a trace. We're going to explore some of those disappearances, those crazy theories, and see if we can sort fact from fiction. You might think you know the Bermuda Triangle, but trust me, there's always more to uncover.
It's funny, right? Because the Bermuda Triangle isn't even like an official thing. It's not on any nautical chart.
Right, it's like this legend that's been passed down through generations of sailors and, I guess, armchair adventurers like us.
Yeah, exactly. More of a cultural phenomenon, really, than a geographic location.
Which makes it even more intriguing. Speaking of intriguing, let's start with a disappearance that's practically legendary. The USS Cyclops. This Navy ship vanished in 1918. Over 300 people on board. Just gone. No trace, no distress call.
And the Cyclops wasn't a small vessel either. It was massive, over 500 feet long.
Wow. Imagine a ship that size just disappearing. It's mind-boggling.
It is. It really speaks to the power of the ocean, doesn't it? And the mysteries it holds.
Absolutely. And there are theories about the Cyclops, right? I read that some experts believe the ship's cargo might be to blame.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. The Cyclops was carrying manganese ore, which is much denser than the coal it usually transported.
Ah, so that extra weight could have made it more vulnerable, especially if it ran into rough seas.
Exactly. Imagine a rogue wave hitting a ship that's already struggling with stability. It could be disastrous.
Speaking of ships and rough seas, let's move on to another disappearance that always gives me chills. The Mary Celeste.
Ah, the Mary Celeste, the ultimate ghost ship. Found adrift in 1872, fully stocked, cargo intact, personal belongings still there. But the crew, gone, vanished.
It's like they just stepped off the ship and into thin air. And the details are so eerie. Empty alcohol barrels, a sword on deck.
Right. It's like a scene from a mystery novel.
What could have happened? Pirates? Mutiny? Did a giant squid just pluck everyone off the deck?
I mean, there's no shortage of theories, right? Some people even say aliens were involved. But the Mary Celeste remains a true enigma. We just don't know what happened.
Okay, this one leans into the spooky vibes for sure. But before we get too lost in the mystery of the Mary Celeste, let's talk about another ship, the Ellen Austin.
Okay, what about the Ellen Austin?
This one involves an encounter with another ship.
Yeah.
An abandoned ship, not once but twice. The Ellen Austin tries to tow it back, but both times the crew finds the derelict ship abandoned again.
Oh, that's right. And what's fascinating about this story is how it's evolved over time. Different versions, added details, inconsistencies. It's like the tale itself is part of the mystery.
Like a game of telephone, but with ghost ships. Okay, now for a disappearance that's even more baffling. Closer to shore. And incredibly fast.
The Witchcraft.
The Witchcraft, that was a luxury cabin cruiser, vanished in 1967, just a mile off the coast of Miami.
And get this. The Coast Guard arrived at its last known location just 19 minutes after its last transmission. 19 minutes.
That's incredibly fast. Like, they blinked, and the Witchcraft was gone.
No distress signals.
Yeah.
No debris. And this was a cruiser considered practically unsinkable. The suddenness of it is what makes it so compelling, right? It's almost like something or someone just made it disappear.
I know. It's like defying the laws of physics. Okay, we've had vanishing ships and ghost ships. Now let's talk about vanishing airplanes. This is where the Bermuda Triangle legend really takes flight with Flight 19.
Flight 19, 5 Navy bombers vanished during a routine training flight in 1945. It's a classic case that really solidified the legend.
5 bombers, experienced pilots, just gone. And it gets even spookier. A rescue plane sent to search for them disappears too.
It's like a nightmare scenario, isn't it? And the details of Flight 19 are what make it so fascinating. The pilots reported compass malfunctions, disorientation, and a strange visual phenomenon described as electronic fog.
Electronic fog? What is that? Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right. It's this strange haze that seems to disrupt instruments and cause spatial disorientation. Some researchers believe it's linked to electromagnetic disturbances in the Earth's magnetic field.
Well, interesting. So, not aliens or time travel, but weird magnetic stuff messing with their compasses and radios. Still pretty cool.
It is. It shows how complex and powerful the forces at work in the Bermuda Triangle can be.
Okay, one last disappearance before we dive into those theories head first. And this one's interesting because it almost debunks itself. The SS Cotopaxi.
The Cotopaxi vanished in 1925, added more fuel to the Bermuda Triangle fire. But here's the thing. It was later found wrecked outside the Bermuda Triangle.
Talk about a plot twist. It shows how the boundaries of the triangle are so vague, right? And it really highlights the importance of being critical of these stories.
Exactly. Just because something disappears in the general area doesn't automatically make it a Bermuda Triangle mystery.
Right. Okay. So we've got a whole lineup of disappearances, ships, planes, each with its own set of intriguing details. But what are the explanations? Are we talking natural phenomena, human error, or something more, well, out there?
Let's start with the natural explanations. One theory that's been gaining traction is the idea of methane gas eruptions.
Oh, I've heard about those. Giant underwater burps that could potentially sink ships.
Exactly. These eruptions release massive amounts of gas from the ocean floor, creating areas of turbulent water that could be dangerous for vessels.
It's like the ocean is saying, "Excuse me, coming through." But, I also read that there's no evidence of these eruptions happening recently in the Triangle. So it's a cool theory, but maybe not the definitive answer.
Yeah, it's still up for debate. And then there's the theory of rogue waves. Imagine massive, unpredictable waves that just appear out of nowhere, towering over even the largest ships.
I've seen footage of those. They're terrifying. It's like the ocean just decides to flex its muscles and create a wall of water.
They're incredibly powerful and unpredictable. And if you think back to the Cyclops with its heavy cargo, a rogue wave hitting a ship that's already struggling with stability could be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, starting to see how these natural forces could definitely play a role. And of course, we can't forget about the weather. The Bermuda Triangle is known for its unpredictable weather patterns, right?
Absolutely. The area is prone to sudden storms, especially during hurricane season. A fast-moving squall could easily overwhelm a small boat or even a plane.
It's like Mother Nature throwing a curveball. But let's be honest, we're not just here for the science, are we? We want the juicy stuff, the theories that make you question everything.
You're talking about the paranormal, the unexplained, the things that make us go, what if?
Exactly. Hit me with the weirdest, wildest theories out there. Let's see if we can find Atlantis.
Well, you mentioned Atlantis, and it's a popular one. The idea of this mythical, technologically advanced city submerged beneath the waves, somehow interfering with ships and planes. Some people even believe it's powered by crystals.
Crystal energy taking down ships. I'm here for it. But what about aliens? You can't have a Bermuda Triangle discussion without aliens, right?
Of course not.
Right.
Theories range from underwater bases to abductions. The idea that extraterrestrial beings are using the area for their own mysterious purposes.
I love a good alien theory. And, okay, let's go full sci-fi here. What about time portals? Ships and planes zap through time warps, ending up who knows where or when.
Time portals, wormholes, rifts in the space-time continuum. It's all very captivating, isn't it?
It is. And, the lack of concrete answers in some of these disappearances keeps those possibilities alive.
It's true. The unknown is always a breeding ground for speculation.
And of course, we can't forget the classic sea monster theories. Giant squid, colossal serpents, krakens lurking in the depths, ready to drag ships to their doom. It's a tale as old as time.
Those stories tap into our primal fear of the unknown. What lurks beneath the surface? What haven't we discovered yet?
It's a good reminder that there are still mysteries out there, hidden in the depths, waiting to be revealed.
And maybe some things are better left undiscovered.
Okay, so we've got a buffet of theories, from natural phenomena to aliens and sea monsters. Where do we even begin to unravel this?
That's the exciting part. We need to examine the evidence, weigh the possibilities, and see what conclusions we can draw. And who knows, maybe we'll uncover something that changes our understanding of the Bermuda Triangle forever.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle. We explored a range of theories last time, from the scientifically plausible to those that are, well, a little more out there.
We talked about everything. Road waves and methane eruptions, time portals and alien abductions. You name it, we covered it. But now, let's roll up our sleeves and really dig into some specific cases.
Sounds good to me. Where do you want to start?
Let's revisit the Mary Celeste. It's just such a classic ghost ship story. The details are captivating.
Yeah, the Mary Celeste is a tough one to crack. Found adrift in 1872, fully stocked but no sign of the crew. And those strange details like the empty alcohol barrels and the missing lifeboat, it just adds to the mystery.
It really makes you wonder what could have happened. What could possibly drive a seasoned crew to abandon a perfectly good ship? Right. Some theories suggest piracy, but the cargo and valuables were untouched. Doesn't really fit, does it?
Not really. And the ship was in good condition. So it doesn't seem like a storm or a pirate attack would have caused them to abandon ship. It's almost as if they just vanished.
And that's where those more out there theories come in, right? Sea monsters, paranormal activity, maybe even a rogue wave that swept everyone off the deck.
I mean, a rogue wave powerful enough to do that to a ship that size,
Yeah,
that would have to be a monster wave.
it would. And while a rogue wave is certainly possible, it seems unlikely given the Mary Celeste's size and the reports of calm weather at the time.
Okay, so no pirates, no rogue waves, no giant squid. What's your expert take on the Mary Celeste?
If I'm being honest, it remains a complete mystery. Despite all the investigations and theories, the Mary Celeste continues to baffle us. It's a reminder that the ocean still holds its secrets, and maybe some things are meant to remain unexplained.
Enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. Let's move on to a disappearance that involves not ships, but airplanes. Flight 19. 5 Navy bombers vanishing during a routine training flight in 1945. This is a case that put the Bermuda Triangle on the map.
Oh, absolutely. Flight 19 has it all. Experienced pilots, strange radio transmissions, a rescue plane that disappears, and then there are those reports of compass malfunctions and disorientation. It's a classic Bermuda Triangle mystery.
Don't forget the electronic fog. That strange haze the pilots described.
Right, the electronic fog. Several pilots have reported similar experiences in the Bermuda Triangle. It's fascinating.
So what could be causing this electronic fog? Some kind of atmospheric anomaly? Are we back in the realm of paranormal activity?
Some researchers believe it could be related to electromagnetic disturbances in the Earth's magnetic field.
Ah, right. The Bermuda Triangle is known for its magnetic anomalies. We talk about how those disturbances could affect electronic equipment.
Exactly. It's possible that those magnetic anomalies are creating these strange hazes that interfere with instruments and cause spatial disorientation.
So weird magnetic stuff causing compass malfunctions and maybe even this electronic fog? That's still pretty mind-boggling.
It is. It makes you think about all the invisible forces that are at play around us, doesn't it? And in the Bermuda Triangle, it seems those forces might be a bit more active.
Active, yeah. So we've got magnetic anomalies, possibly electronic fog. Anything else that could explain Flight 19?
We can't rule out the human element. Even experienced pilots make mistakes, especially under stressful conditions. And if their compasses were malfunctioning, their radios were unreliable, they could easily have gotten lost.
And run out of fuel, especially flying over water with no landmarks to guide them.
Exactly. And then there's the fact that the rescue plane also disappeared. Adds another layer of complexity, doesn't it?
For sure. Was it a mechanical failure? Did they encounter the same strange conditions? You may never know.
It's possible. But, before we move on, there's another case I wanted to touch on. Not a disappearance, but a strange encounter. The story of Bruce Gernon and his time-traveling flight.
Oh, yeah. Bruce Gernon. The pilot who claims to have flown through a time tunnel in the Bermuda Triangle? It sounds straight out of a science fiction movie.
It does, doesn't it? But Gernon insists it really happened.
So walk me through this flight. What exactly did he experience?
So in 1970, Gernon was flying from Andros Island to Bimini. It's a flight that normally takes about 75 minutes, but Gernon claims he encountered this strange tunnel-shaped cloud formation.
Similar to that electronic fog we were just talking about, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And as he flew into the cloud, his instruments went haywire. He experienced a strange sensation of time distortion.
And when he emerged from the cloud, he was over Bimini, but his flight had only taken 47 minutes.
Oh.
Essentially, he lost 28 minutes of flight time.
Exactly. And Gernon believes he flew through a time tunnel, a hypothetical passage through space-time.
Time tunnels. Now that's pretty mind-blowing. But is there any scientific basis for that?
While it's a captivating idea, there's no scientific evidence to support the existence of time tunnels. But Gernon's story and other similar accounts keep that speculation alive.
So are we dismissing Gernon's story as pure fantasy, or could there be something else at play here?
Well, some skeptics suggest he simply miscalculated his flight time or maybe experienced a navigational error. But Gernon insists his instruments were working correctly and he experienced something unexplainable.
Another Bermuda Triangle mystery with no easy answers. It's frustrating, but also intriguing. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces.
And that's part of the allure of the Bermuda Triangle, isn't it? It's a place where reality seems to bend, twist. It challenges our understanding of the world.
We've delved into some fascinating cases, each one stranger than the last. We've seen these patterns of disappearances, these strange phenomena. But I think it's important to step back and consider the bigger picture. What do you think?
I agree. We've been focused on the mysteries, the unexplained. But it's important to remember that countless ships and planes pass through the Bermuda Triangle without incident.
Exactly. Thousands of vessels navigate this region every year without vanishing into thin air.
It's like focusing on the people who win the lottery without acknowledging all the people who bought tickets and didn't win.
That's a great analogy. So what's the takeaway here? Is the Bermuda Triangle just a myth, a product of our collective fascination with the unknown, or is there something more to it?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Honestly, there's no easy answer. The Bermuda Triangle is a puzzle with pieces that might never fully fit together.
A puzzle that keeps us guessing. Well, folks, that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle. We've examined some of the most baffling cases, explored possible explanations, and we've started to see that bigger picture.
But our journey isn't over yet. In part 3, we're going to take a closer look at the science behind some of these theories, examine the evidence, and see if we can finally separate fact from fiction in the Bermuda Triangle.
Are you ready to unravel this enigma once and for all? Join us for the grand finale of our Bermuda Triangle adventure. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle. We've covered some incredible disappearances, those captivating theories, and we've seen how those natural forces could play a role in those mysteries.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. But now it's time to separate fact from fiction. In part 2, we talked about all those ships and planes that pass through the Bermuda Triangle without a problem. It's not really statistically more dangerous than other busy parts of the ocean, right?
You got it. Most vessels that enter the Bermuda Triangle, they come out just fine.
So if it's not some supernatural curse, what's causing all the strange stuff? The unexplained disappearances.
Well, let's go back to those natural explanations we talked about. Remember rogue waves? They're a real phenomenon. They can take down big ships.
Oh, yeah. We saw evidence of that with that shipwreck, the one snapped in half.
Exactly. Those waves can appear out of nowhere, even when the seas are calm.
And if a rogue wave hits a ship that's already having trouble, maybe with a heavy cargo or a mechanical issue, it could be disastrous.
Exactly. Now, what about the planes? What could be causing them to vanish?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Well, remember those magnetic anomalies we talked about? The Bermuda Triangle sits in a region where the Earth's magnetic field is known to, well, fluctuate a bit. And those fluctuations can affect compasses and electronic equipment.
Right, and that could lead to disorientation and navigational errors.
No.
Especially for pilots who are relying on those instruments.
Exactly. If a pilot loses their bearings, especially over water with no landmarks, it could be really bad.
But what about the electronic fog? Is that just, like, bad weather, or is there something more to it?
It's an interesting one for sure. Some researchers think it might be connected to electromagnetic disturbances in the atmosphere, maybe linked to those magnetic anomalies we've been talking about.
So an electromagnetic haze that messes with instruments and makes you feel disoriented? It still sounds pretty spooky, even if there might be a scientific explanation.
Right. It makes you realize how much we still don't understand about the world around us.
And let's not forget about our own perception. When we're stressed, our brains can play tricks on us. We might see and hear things that aren't really there.
That's true. Some of those unexplained events might actually just be misinterpretations. Natural events seen through the lens of fear and adrenaline.
Okay, so rogue waves, magnetic anomalies, maybe electromagnetic fog, and the always present possibility of human error. Those factors alone could explain a lot of what's going on in the Bermuda Triangle, couldn't they?
I think so. The ocean has always been dangerous and unpredictable. For centuries, sailors have faced perils, natural and man-made.
It's easy to romanticize the past, but sailing was and still is risky. Storms, navigational errors, equipment failures. The ocean demands respect.
Even with all our technology, we're still at its mercy.
So are we saying the Bermuda Triangle is all a myth? Just a bunch of overblown stories and coincidences?
Not exactly. A lot of the incidents can be explained by natural events and human mistakes, but there are still cases, like Flight 19, where we don't have clear answers. And that's what keeps the Bermuda Triangle so fascinating. It reminds us that there are still mysteries in the world, things we might never completely understand.
I guess the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of science. It's all about discovery, questioning, and pushing the limits of our knowledge.
So what's the final verdict on the Bermuda Triangle? Cursed? Misunderstood, or just a product of our desire to believe in the extraordinary?
I think it's a little bit of all of those things. The Bermuda Triangle is a place where reality and myth mix together. It's a reminder that the world is still full of wonder, and there are forces out there we may never fully grasp.
That's a great way to put it. The Bermuda Triangle remains an enigma, a source of endless fascination.
Whether you believe in the supernatural or prefer scientific explanations, there's no denying its power. And who knows, maybe one day we'll have all the answers.
But until then, the mystery lives on. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the Bermuda Triangle. Until next time, keep exploring.